In this episode of the Bannerlord Perks Guide, we will look at the Polearm skill perks. By the end of this video, you will have a complete understanding of what each one does and which to pick based on your specific needs. I put timestamps in the description for your convenience, and without further ado, let's get started. Cavalry. Increasing our mounted polearm damage by 2% leaves a lot to be desired. We start off by testing couched lance damage, which shows a consistent 6% increase to damage. Thrusting yielded no difference whatsoever, and the same can be said for swing damage. The only noticeable difference here was for couched lance damage, which doesn't need a damage boost as it's already a one-hit kill most of the time. The secondary perk suffers from the same issues here and hardly worth considering. Pikeman. Again, we are blessed with tiny crumbs, a 2% increase to polearm damage on foot. Through the testing, we can see an increase of 1.8% on average for thrusts and nearly the same for swing damage. The secondary perk is slightly better as the increase in damage applies to all infantry, which generally makes up the majority of our armies. For our main character, we pick Cavalry if we fight primarily on horseback and Pikemen for foot. When picking for a companion captain, I would pick Cavalry if they will be leading your mounted troops and Pikemen for infantry formations. Braced. Dismounting cavalry is generally a death sentence, so a 25% chance to dismount cavalry is quite good. In practice, this perk works as intended and is satisfying when it happens. The secondary captain perk improves infantry damage to cavalry by 10%, which is a significant boost. Keep at bay. If you plan on fighting on foot, this perk is a must. The bane of all spears is close quarters, but with this perk we get a 30% chance to knock our enemy backwards, buying us space and time. For a governor, this is a great perk as it's only level 50 and 0.5 militia per day is decent. Again, for a mounted playthrough, braced is the pick, and on foot, keep at bay. The secondary perk for companions will depend on the role. Fighting roles, pick braced, and governors, pick keep at bay. Clean thrust. Given Tailworld's track record regarding damage boost perks, I didn't have high hopes for this one. However, after testing, we can see a very clean 10.4% increase in damage over several tests. The secondary perk is also quite good as polearm skill increase raises both damage and attack speed. Swift swing. The biggest issue with swingable polearms is their sloth-like swing speed. Boosting this stat is a must if you plan on using these weapons. In testing, this perk shaved off about half a second for a chain attack that took nearly 10 seconds from start to finish. The secondary perk is great for captains as swing speed is king in most battles. Again, we have a split decision. If you plan on using mostly thrust polearm, then clean thrust is the pick. For a swing heavy game, swift strike is the pick. For companions using the captain perk, my pick is clean thrust as plus 30 polearm skill not only boosts infantry damage but also their attack speed. Footwork. I'm not sure why Tailworld loves these 2% perk bonuses, but it seems especially underwhelming when it comes to movement speed. We can see from the side by side without the perk it will take 39.4 seconds to close the gap from 200 meters to 25, and with the perk 38.9, saving us about half a second or 1.3% faster time. It's safe to assume the captain perk is equally bad. Hard knock. Having a 25% knockdown chance is amazing for those polearm builds on foot. Fighting an opponent with a short, fast weapon can be challenging, so knocking them to the floor should be a guaranteed free kill for us. The secondary perk giving 3 hit points to all infantry is nice because it will work for a main character or anyone leading a party. Finally, we have an easy choice. Hard knock 100% of the time. Lancer. While 20% increase to speed bonus damage seems like a significant amount, in reality it accounts for a small overall increase. Without the perk, each attack averaged to a 7.8% bonus damage from movement speed, and with the perk the average increased to 9.7, which equates to an overall increase of 1.9%. The same can be said of the captain perk. Steed killer. This perk is similar to the two-handed sword perk, but with a long polearm it becomes much more useful. Without the perk, we have a bonus damage of 7.8% on average. With the perk, this number increases to 44.7, which is a net gain of 35%. Tailworlds, we need more of this. One thing to note, this increase in damage works regardless of being on foot or mounted. The captain perk gives a 30% increase in damage against mounts, which is a good amount. Another easy pick here as Steed killer is amazing for both our main character and a companion. Guard. 2 great perks in a row. Now this is what I like to see. 50% increased damage for headshots is huge. For a Polearm with swing damage, this is irrelevant as any headshot will be fatal regardless. However, for a thrust build, this extra damage is massive. Without the perk, we get an 18.5% bonus in damage, but with the perk, this number shoots up to 42%, which is an overall increase of 23.5%. The Captain perk is garbage as XP gain for siege defense is totally useless. Skewer. Skewer is a perk that is difficult to understand its value without testing. Its biggest strength is against tightly packed foot troops, where it can turn into the mounted version of a two-handed axe, scoring multiple kills instantly. We even picked up a triple skewer. The Governor perk is quite good as +1 security per day is double the standard 0.5 bonus Tailworld likes to throw around. For a main character, this is a tough pick. If you don't plan on any mounted combat, guards is the pick. If you plan on using mounts, then it really depends on your preference. Personally, I love couch lancing people, so my preference is Skewer, but honestly, it's a coin toss. For the Governor perk, Skewer is the pick 100% of the time. Phalanx. +30 to all melee weapons in our party seems great, but it's only when they're in shield wall formation, and generally you should not be fighting in shield wall. Once you reach the enemy line, you should be switching them to line and giving the charge order, so this perk is mostly wasted. The Captain perk is too small to make a noticeable difference. Standard Bearer. With one perk being for a captain and the other a governor, I find it pointless to discuss for our main character. For a companion, the morale loss is great, and for a governor, the 20% wage reduction is huge. Both perks at 175 polearm are disappointing as it offers nothing for a main character, so there is no pick. Everybody loses here. For captain or governor, always take standard bearer. Drills. 0.5 militia for a governor perk seems weak for a level 200 perk. That said, I like having militia gain for my governors. For our main character, we can pick up a +1 XP per troop per day, which is reasonable for our low tier troops. Generous rations. Picking up 5 HP for all troops in our party is amazing and needs no further explanation. We can also pick up a 20% discount for hiring infantry, but at this stage in the game it's probably irrelevant. For a main character, the pick is generous rations 100% of the time. For a governor, drills is the pick, but for companions leading their own party, generous rations is the pick. Sure-footed. 50% is usually a good number for a bonus, but in practice it makes almost no difference when it comes to charge damage. The majority of enemy mounts do between 1 to 4 damage, so at most we can save 2 damage. The Captain perk is even worse, only giving 30% less. Unstoppable Force. Imagine crushing an enemy shield in a single blow. It must be awesome, but I'll never know because after over an hour of testing, I couldn't get a single shield block on my couch lance attempts. The AI seems to either stop you with a single spear thrust, or they don't block at all. The Captain perk is laughable and not worth talking about. The pick here is akin to deciding which leg you would like to have cut off. Both options are terrible. Counterweight. As stated before with other melee perks, handling is difficult to test. I ran 10 tests without and 10 with the perk and both were identical. This could easily be my testing though, and I don't really feel confident saying it's good or bad. For the Captain perk, we can pick up a +20 increase to all infantry polearm skill, which is decent. Sharpen the tip. I'm not sure the rationale as to why the level 75 perk gives +10% damage and the 250 perk only gives 5% damage, but it seems fairly weak. We tested damage from both mounted and on foot. Mounted without the perk gave an average damage bonus of 25.1 and with the perk of 27.7 or a 2.6% increase. On foot and without the perk 25% and with the perk 27.6 or a 2.6% increase. If nothing else, at least these results are consistent. The Captain perk suffers from the same inadequacies as 5% thrust damage is not enough to make a noticeable difference. The pick is straightforward. For swing based build we pick counterweight, and for a thrust based build we pick sharpen the tip. If we are picking for a captain, then counterweight is the pick. Way of the Spear. Each point above 250 gives us attack speed and damage with all polearm weapons, which as we will see makes a significant difference. The chained attacks at level 1 take more than 11 seconds to complete, while level 330 and with the perk only take 6.3 seconds. Going from level 275 without to 275 with the perk only shaves 0.4 seconds, but going to 330 with the perk saves 1.2 seconds. And since the polearm is so slow to swing, I think making the effort to get to 330 is worth it. We are nearing the end of the video, which means it's time for the bonus. Über Speer Soldaten. I've been asked several times in the comments if a thrusting spear foot soldier build is possible. To those, I reply with a resounding yes. In order to pull this off, we need to stack quite a few modifiers. Looking at the list, we take all polearm perks that increase thrust damage as well as extra headshot and mount damage. There are several good perks in the athletics tree that will give us more melee damage, speed bonus damage, and weapon handling increase. On top of that, we take the extra shield bash duration and extra kick stun duration, which will come in handy fighting with the spear. Roguery also has a couple of good perks that we can take as well. Finally, we craft a legendary spear using the northern triangle spearhead for max thrust damage. We pick a guard only for looks, which doesn't change any of the stats, the cured oaken pike shaft, and finally any pommel as it doesn't change the stats. We craft a few weapons until we get the legendary stat roll that we need, giving an extra point into thrust speed and 4 into damage. Time to see this build in action. You'll notice that just about anything we touch is a one-shot kill. With the total length of nearly 220, we can reach enemies from a great distance away. As we start to get swarmed, it's best to put the shield on our back and run back to our lines. To be able to use this build effectively, we must master shield bashing and kicks, as these are the only way to create distance with an enemy who has closed the distance with us. While this build is not easy to use and requires a high degree of skill, it certainly is possible, and I had a blast fighting this battle. If you want to help me out, don't forget to stab that like button before you leave. If you want to see more videos and guides just like this, consider subscribing. Let me know in the comment section below what topic you would like to see covered on the channel. Up next, we will be looking at all of the bow perks. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.